Congratulations on making it to the national finals.
Each and every one of you should be so proud of yourselves for all the amazing work you've done.
You've clearly demonstrated that you have bold and brilliant ideas as emerging youth social entrepreneurs. Your projects have potential for amazing things. You can not only impact your own community, but those around you and even further.
And it was your hard work, your intelligence, teamwork, collaboration, strategy, and skills that brought you to where you are.
You will make a difference and you will make an impact with your product going forward.
I'm wishing you all the best of luck today as you present, and keep being inspiring.
We know that you've done your states and your schools proud.
Just want to take a moment and congratulate you for being a finalist and let you know that I'll be rooting for you behind the scenes on your final pitches this week.
All the best for your pitch presentation. I know that you're gonna rock it.
Welcome to the 15th annual Samsung Solve for Tomorrow Final Pitch event. That's right. My name is Sam Yosevich. I am a manager on the corporate citizenship team here at Samsung Electronics America. But more importantly, I am one of your co-hosts for today.
And I'm Lauren Chin, head of sports marketing for our display division at Samsung Electronics America, and your other co-host for today.
Amazing. And Lauren and I, we are so excited to be here with all of you. In front of us, we have a group of incredible students, 10 teams from 10 different schools across the country who have all really taken a step to show what innovation is all about. They have used STEM to really solve community challenges in their STEM challenges in their community, and we are so excited to see them pitch their presentations here in front of our amazing judges.
Awesome, and this is my first year being a part of Samsung Solve for Tomorrow initiative. This is my first year as well being a specialist mentor, and I'm very excited to see what everyone's come here today.
Absolutely. And so at Samsung, our guiding vision is Together for Tomorrow, Enabling People. And although Solve for Tomorrow is really focused on STEM, at its core, it is really about giving back and supporting humanity, making people's lives better. And so over the last 15 years, since 2010, Samsung Solve for Tomorrow has seen hundreds of thousands of students give back through STEM in their communities. We have had over 4,000 public schools take part in the competition, and we have supported them with over $27 million of tech and resources for their classroom. So let's give it a hand for just the history of the program. And a cool extra fun fact, we've supported all 50 states. So we've really made a difference across the country, and that's thanks to all of you. And this year is a very special one. It is a milestone year. It's the 15th anniversary of the program. And since 2010, it has grown from just a US program into a true global movement. Over the last 15 years, we now have the program with participants in over 60 countries. And over 2.3 million students have participated in the program over the last 15 years. Truly remarkable.
Truly amazing. We're so inspired by the work that all of our specialists and Solve for Tomorrow teams have put in for the national finalists here in the room today. Making it to this point is truly a big accomplishment. You should be really proud. Let's hear it one last time for our 10 national finalist teams.
Woo. Now, I know our students are probably super nervous right now. You shouldn't be. And we're going to give you a few more minutes to get ready, because before we get started, I want to bring a special guest up onto the stage. He is the CEO of a nonprofit that all teachers in this room and on the live stream are likely familiar with, and that is Donors Choose. So here with us today, we have Alex Gurrier. And for those of you who are not familiar with Donors Choose, they are a nonprofit organization that makes it incredibly easy for anyone across the world to support a teacher and their students to enhance the classroom experience. And so before I bring Alex up onto the stage, I want to give you a little bit of background as to what he has done across his career, because it's truly impressive. So prior to Donors Choose, he was also the CEO of international charitable giving platform Global Giving and the co-founder of education technology company LearnZillion. His past experiences includes consulting in McKinsey & Company's education practice, teaching middle and high school mathematics, and working in the public finance department at Citigroup. He is the board director for Scholastic, a board member for Everyday Labs, and was previously on the board of trustees for Capital City Public Charter School. Alex has a master's in education from the Stanford University School of Education and an MBA from Stanford's Graduate School of Business. He graduated from Harvard University with an AB in physics and is a proud product of New Haven Public Schools. He also currently lives in Washington, D.C. So That was amazing, but let's hear it from the man himself. Please welcome to the stage, Alex Guerrier.
Oh, thank you so much. Wow. All right. Good morning, everyone. It is such an honor for me to be here with you today. I get to kick off one of my favorite events of the year. And I'm incredibly lucky because this is actually the 4th time that I've been given the chance to say a few words to the finalists in this amazing program. I was thinking about that first year, and I'm going to make an admission. I remember that I was actually a bit nervous that first year. I had just started in this role at Donors Choose, and so being a part of Solve for Tomorrow was one of the very first things that I did as CEO. So of course now I'm a veteran, so I feel still a little bit nervous. You guys are stars, and so no wonder I feel butterflies. I very much hope that you know that you're stars. You've made it to this moment because you have earned it. Each of you has seen a need. From that need, you developed an idea. But more importantly, you then had the courage and persistence, and you did the hard work to turn that idea into something real. That alone is something to be incredibly proud of. But even that's not it. You're stars because of the combination of traits that you represent. Caring about your community, entrepreneurship, creativity, teamwork, curiosity, and learning. Again, that hard work. That combination of traits is exactly what those of us in older generations are hoping for and in fact counting on in today's youth. So being here always brings me back to my own high school and middle school days. It's no secret that I've always been a huge nerd. And so it's easy for me to imagine my younger self in the audience watching your presentations with awe. So you've got me as a fan, but you've also got my younger self as a big fan. And each year, I am completely blown away by the kinds of challenges that you take on. I've been amazed by projects addressing ecology, protecting the environment, the needs of disabled classmates, efficient public transportation, innovative uses of robots, the preservation of vanishing languages. Such a wide range of applications. But there are also connecting threads. It's exciting to me how often I see 2 themes running through the projects: empathy and emerging technology. Maybe it's only natural that some of the country's most innovative students, that's you, are eager to harness robotics, 3D printing, and AI, not for technology's sake, but to serve people, to solve real problems with heart and ingenuity. So at Donors Choose, we are proud to be Samsung's partner in helping make this magic happen. For 7 years, we've had this privilege of supporting teachers and students who participate in Solve for Tomorrow, helping them to bring their projects to life with the resources that they need to do so. I'm also proud to partner with Samsung to understand more deeply what educators throughout the country need in order to be successful in preparing students with the STEM skills that are so much in demand. To that end, we have a survey called the State of STEM Education that aims to uncover those needs. We surveyed over 1,000 classrooms across the country, covering both middle school and high school. You can find more details about this online, but I wanted to highlight one pair of facts from that survey today. And I'll be interested in whether this surprises you. So in our survey, 96%, so that's virtually all, 96% of teachers that we asked said that they believe AI will be integral to education in the next decade. Now, a percentage like that is pretty rare. You don't usually get a signal stronger than that. So we all know, or at least strongly believe, that AI will be a key part of what kids learn and how they learn in the coming years. So that's not a surprise, given the consequential nature of AI. But there was one question with an even higher response rate by 1 percentage point. 96% of teachers said that AI was going to be critical, but 97% said that they still lack the resources that are sufficient to integrate these emerging technologies into their classrooms. So that is a big challenge that demands our attention. At Donors Choose, we hear from teachers every day who are doing extraordinary work under increasingly difficult situations. They continue to pour their energy, creativity, and love into their students, even as the demands grow heavier. That's why programs like this, Solve for Tomorrow, matter so much. Samsung is helping us recognize the power of teachers, students, and community, and actually investing in it to bridge that gap. So, by participating in this program, you are part of the solution. You're not just preparing yourselves for the future, you're actually helping to shape it. So I'm making this connection between what you're doing here and the biggest priorities in our country's education systems. And that connection is real, but you're also here to have fun. And so the last thing that I'll give you is a reminder not to lose sight of that. So I admitted that I'm getting nervous up here. In fact, I'm kind of sweating, so I'll just do this. So that's okay. You might feel nervous too. Throughout the day, I hope that you remember to allow yourself to relax, to take deep breaths, and remember that you are here for a reason. You have everything that you need in order to succeed. You've already accomplished amazing things, and this is a celebration of that. So have fun. You have earned it. Enjoy the day. And I will turn it over back to Sam and Lauren.
Thank you so much, Alex. We are incredibly proud of the partnership between Samsung Solve for Tomorrow and Donors Choose. All the impact that we have made so far is truly impressive, and can't wait to see what else we can do together in the future.
Perfect. And now, before we introduce our esteemed judges, I want to take a quick moment to recognize all the educators in the room and say a quick thank you. We know that teaching is an incredibly difficult job and constantly presents new obstacles that you must overcome day in and day out. So with your determination and generosity, we sincerely appreciate the work you do inside and out of the classroom.
And I know next week is Teacher Appreciation Week, so although we won't be here together, a happy early Teacher Appreciation Week. And I think we're finally ready to introduce our distinguished judges. So first up, we have Charlotte Dungan. Charlotte is the Chief Learning Officer of the Mark Cuban Foundation, which runs AI boot camps for high school students and a teacher fellowship program. She is a leading expert in AI education, having worked with teams at ISTE, MIT, and many more. She has also earned a master's degree in education from Harvard. She has helped several states revise CS standards and add AI to their curriculum. She's also a lifelong Girl Scout and a first-generation college student. In high school, she was on the math and science Olympiad teams, but the class that helped her the most was woodshop. Learning to build things in the real world has shaped her entire life because she finds that making stuff is cool. She also played basketball and was in the country ski club.
Welcome, Charlotte. Wonderful. Welcome, Charlotte. Next, we have Renzo Villavicencio. Renzo is the VP of Process Innovation and Procurement at Samsung. He has over 19 years of experience driving innovation in the technology industry. He holds a bachelor's degree in finance from the University of Pacific in Peru, as well as a master's degree in MIS from Texas Tech University. In high school, he and his team of 4 friends entered a national radio STEM competition and advanced all the way to the semifinals. Those late nights spent preparing and camaraderie shared as a team remain some of his fondest memories from that period of time.
I'm also very excited to introduce Ramin Rana. Ramin is an investor at Samsung Next, which is one of the venture arms of Samsung Electronics. Ramin spends most of her time leading Next's digital health investments, but Samsung Next broadly invests in health, AI, consumer services, and intelligent machines. Ramin graduated from Harvard College with a degree in psychology and a secondary in economics. In high school, she was on the basketball and volleyball team and has met best friends she still talks to every single day.
Welcome, Ramin. Allow me to introduce Enabong Ete. Enabong is an influential social media creator and founder of the Bored at Work YouTube and TikTok channels. For the past 18 years, he has been entertaining and educating audiences with tech and gaming content, including reviews and unboxing of gadgets, phones, and gaming consoles. Enabong went to military school and high school in Nigeria and graduated at the age of 16.
And last, but certainly not least, I'd like you to all meet Hope King. Hope is a veteran business journalist and moderator. She's conducted thousands of high-profile interviews with top executives, policymakers, and cultural icons, including Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, Mark Cuban, and Steph Curry. Hope is the founder and host of Macro Talk, a bold new video platform focused on economic and labor market analysis. Previously, she was a big tech reporter for CNN and Business Insider, a senior business reporter at Axios, and an anchor at the NYSE for nearly 4 years with Cheddar, making her one of the few journalists to have worked with 3 of the most successful media startups of the last decade. A fun fact about Hope is that she actually attended 2 high schools, and on the first day of her junior year at her second high school, she changed her name. She did not want to go by Lisa anymore, as she didn't think it suited her. So when the first person who stuck out his hand to say hello and asked for her name, she said Hope, the English translation of her Chinese name, Jiwang, the name her father gave her at birth. Hope was the name he thought of on his train ride back from Shanghai after securing his visa to study engineering in the US.
Wonderful. Welcome, judges. Thank you for joining us here. What an esteemed group we have, and I'm truly thankful to have you all here. All right, let's hear it once more for our great group of judges today.
And now I think we are ready to also bring on our first impressive team. We are going to bring them up in 1 second. A quick reminder for our teams, or for our judges, we will have 4 minutes for pitch presentations and then 6 minutes for judges' Q&A.
Awesome. With that being said, we are so excited to bring up our first school to kick off the 15th annual Samsung Solve for Tomorrow final events. Please join me in welcoming Denham Springs High School from Denham Springs, Louisiana to the stage.
Hello, we are Safety C. My name is Khadija Henny.
My name is Juan Garces.
And my name is Madison Sanders. I'd like you to take a moment to imagine you're on a beautiful lake. You're out fishing and having a blast with your family. But that good time turns to a very bad one. Bubbles are forming, dead fish are rising. You're trying so hard to catch your breath. Is it a dream? Is it a nightmare? Or is this a carbon capture and storage project leaking from below our lake?
We realize that a lot of people from our community do not know what carbon capture and sequestration is. So we spent a lot of time learning exactly what it is and how important it is for our environment, what it does to global warming. But for our community, it feels more like a threat. So if the people closest to the lake don't feel safe, who will? We're from Denham Springs High School, and as you can see, we are very close to our community's lake, Lake Maurepas, which every 3 students in our school frequently visit or have family that do. We also met with our Livingston Parish President, Randy DeLatte, and he said that our community tends to hear a lot of horror stories, but they can't differentiate what's fact and what's fiction. So we decided to survey over 1,000 people from our community and our schools, and we learned that 75% don't know what carbon capture and sequestration is, and over 80% said that they would feel safer with our solution of having information in their hands and a way to test their lake themselves.
So what even is carbon capture and sequestration? A question that we too once had. This process is simply capturing the carbon dioxide out of industrial smokestacks, pressuring and liquefying it, then storing it miles below our ground where it seeps into porous rock and is supposed to stay forever. But if it leaks, the people need to know.
We met with university professors, experts from our Department of Natural Resources, and a client innovation center. But we received the most insight from Dr. Catherine Romanak, a global expert who spent most of her time learning what carbon capture is. We received her input and realized that she shares the same ideas we have about global awareness and carbon capture and sequestration. We used her input to create our solution, to solve our problem, not just to educate our community, but to be able to allow them to engage with their environment and test their own lake for themselves.
So we created a device that sends real-time carbon dioxide readings straight into your phone along with temperature data. We also built a custom app, not just with data, but with meaning. What you're seeing in front of you right now is our Safety C app. The Safety C app has 5 main buttons on the home page. These buttons not only educate the public on what carbon capture is and state the voice of our community, but they also show real-time data of our local lake, connect the user to our device so they can have personal readings of their aquatic ecosystems, and explain to the user what to do in case of an emergency.
Our user-friendly device has you connected through Bluetooth to our app, push a button on the same page, and then put it in the water for readings. This gives information and security back to the users, making them feel more comfortable about the safety of their own lake. The best part? Our device can be used worldwide because not everywhere has their own monitoring technology in their water ecosystems.
Our device is also sustainable as it uses a rechargeable battery, a biodegradable 3D printed box made with PLA, and a sensor that screws into the tube, allowing it to be removable and recyclable or reusable, which reduces waste and costs.
We took our community sphere and we turned it into something beautiful, a way for them to test their own lake, trust their own data, and feel safe again. We built a future where people understand the science and have the tools to finally trust it again.
We are Safety C.
I'm happy to kick us off. Amazing presentation. I know it's also very hard to kick off the whole day, so huge kudos to you guys. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the cost of the product itself. I know there's that slide and you mentioned kind of the biodegradable nature of it. Can you speak a little bit more to the cost revolving the product?
The cost? I'm sorry, you said the cost?
Exactly this, yeah. Can you speak a little bit more to this slide right here?
Of course. So the total cost overall for our product is $255.45. And this includes all the components like the tube, the color, the paint, because it is painted blue, 3D printing filament, which is PLA, it's a polylactic acid that we use, the chip, the wiring, things like that.
Thank you.
I do have a question too. Great presentation. How do you know the conditions in your lake are safe or hazardous? I don't see it in the app. Like, I see the numbers, but I don't see 7.1 pH. Is that good or bad? How do you determine?
That's actually a really good question. So whenever we went and decided to do the format of the app, we thought, how are they going to understand what's safe, what's not safe? It's a long process. I mean, there's so much data that you have to understand. It took us so long to be able to finally understand it. So we did red, yellow, and green, which you will see on the app as well, for the data of the buoys that are already on the lake and also for testing your own lake. So red is bad. Obviously, yellow is it's getting bad. You should probably check it out or call the number on the app for the services. And then green is your lake is fine. And we have like specific data for that. There's seasonal variation. So every season, the lake is like constantly fluctuating depending on salinity. There's so many different variations that we had to input into that. But it's simply we do all the data and all that comes up for them is the colors. If it's red, it's bad. If it's yellow, probably check it out, and if it's green, it's good.
I have a question about the reception from the company who has done the carbon sequestration. What has their reaction been to your technology, and have you worked with them directly?
Actually, we have contacted them. So they haven't implemented the project yet. They've already did like testing wells in the lake, and they've contacted the university closest to us that have the buoys so that they can get data through the university because it's more educational. People understand that it's a university. It's a public university. So they actually helped us with information just to be able to let us understand more about the project. There's so many different opinions about this, which is the best part about this project. There's so many perspectives on it. So many different perspectives. Either our community, people hate it, people love it, and then through our app, people learn more about it and see and have like a factual based opinion on it. So they helped us, but in a non-opinionated way. So there were some restrictions, but obviously it's a private company, so it was completely reasonable.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, just to add on to that. So the sensors, at the earlier question about how we get the data for the conditions for our lake, so the sensors that are in the buoys of the lake, we actually get that public data that the university gave us access to. It's public data from their website. And what we do is we take that public data and we put it into our app in a way that is easily readable for the user and it's easy for the public to understand, because most people can't understand what all those numbers and values mean.
I really loved the sound effects. It was really great creative presentation. Can you just restate again what problem you're solving here?
Okay, so our problem isn't necessarily the actual carbon capture and storage projects that are happening. Our problem is that whenever you ask somebody, especially like our young age, what is carbon capture and storage? Nobody really understands that process, and a lot of mixed emotions get in because you hear, oh, it's bad, or you hear it's good. Our journey that we had was to simply inform them on what is carbon capture, which is actually one of our main buttons. And then also adding on to that, we wanted to give them a way to test their own lake, so it's not hearing what somebody else said. Like, you actually have the privilege to, okay, let me check it out. I want to be able to see if it's safe, if it's not safe. So that's where our journey came from.
Just to piggyback off that, I apologize. Carbon capture and storage is actually good to reduce climate change. But what happens is a lot of our people in our community and even all over the world, they're very afraid of these projects. They don't understand them. They think that, you know, they might blow up the entire lake and people are going to die, hence our initial presentation. So we want to bring safety back into the hands of the people so that they can feel more secure about their environment and know the information of the world around them.
And so just really quickly, you want a lot of people to have this app on their phone and to buy the devices?
No, ma'am. This is like completely community-based. There's only 50 carbon capture projects in the world currently, most of them in Europe, but this is like new in our area. So it's like completely community-based, like just for Livingston Parish, because the reason we found out about this is simply because so many people were talking about it, which, by the way, we hated the idea at first until we learned what it was.
Amazing. I think we're just about out of time for questions, but let's give it a big round of applause to And next up, we're going to welcome to the stage from Casper, Wyoming, CY Middle School. Let's give them a round of applause. And as they set up, I think really, first off, kudos to Denham Springs for going first here today. It's super hard and challenging to be the first one to go up. I think something that they really spoke about was community, and I know for a fact that they have worked hard to get here, and they've got a whole community behind them watching this live stream. So one more time, congrats to Denham Springs, and welcome to our middle school.
Hi, I'm Timmy. We are from Casper, Wyoming, a town of about 60,000 people. We have seen a disturbing rise in teen violence over the last 2 years. And this violence has created a sense of fear and anxiety among our youth. Unfortunately, these events are exacerbating an already existing crisis in a state that has one of the highest suicide rates per capita. In fact, suicide is the second leading cause of death for adolescents in the state of Wyoming.
And I'm Landon. We researched the issue by gathering data from the Natrona County Coroner, Casper Police Department, and Wyoming Department of Health. They confirmed a growing mental health crisis. We interviewed our school counselor, who shared that students often feel trapped in negative thought cycles, making it difficult to break free. We wanted students to focus on positivity. That's why we created Cellbot, a social emotional learning robot.
Cellbot is an interactive robot designed to spread positivity by engaging with students throughout the day. It features an interactive interface that shares over 100 motivational messages, jokes, and uplifting images. Cellbot is inspired by the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, and act, a concept used by fighter pilots to process situations. We focused on the orient stage, where students have a chance to reset their mindset. A quick interaction with Cellbot can interrupt negative thoughts and bring positivity back into students' working memory. Let's try it out. Hey Landon, why doesn't it hurt if a can of Coke got thrown at your head?
Why?
Because it's a soft drink. If you just smiled or laughed, we reset your OODA loop. Sometimes all it takes is a quick shift in focus.
We followed the engineering and design process to brainstorm, design, prototype, and test our robot. Our first There we go. Sorry. Our first design was a small obstacle avoidance vehicle. It worked, but when we added the body, we ran into balance and weight issues. After testing multiple designs, we settled on a more compact version. We continued to refine the design, improve the code, and fabricate a body that would ensure Cellbot is stable enough to navigate through crowded hallways and strong enough to carry the interactive screen. Meanwhile, our coding team worked on the interactive interface. We coded a touchscreen display filled with uplifting content. After many iterations, we had a working prototype, but we wanted to make it bigger, better, and more effective.
To take Cellbot to the next level, we partnered with the University of Wyoming. The engineering department helped us optimize Cellbot's platform and power system, while the graphic design department showed us how to use visual communication to make our platform more appealing and professional. With their support, we brought Cellbot to life at full scale. We also added an I Need to Talk button for students needing extra support. This will prompt the school counselor to have a follow-up with them.
Our goal wasn't just to build a cool robot. It was to create real change in our school. To measure its impact, we let students interact with Cellbot for 2 weeks and then surveyed them to see if it helped them shift their thoughts. Based on our results, 79% of students reported that interacting with Cellbot helped improve their mood and shift their thoughts in a positive way. Teachers also noticed a difference, reporting that students were more upbeat and engaged after using Cellbot.
Cellbot was such an amazing addition to our school community that we wanted to share him with other students. Through our partnership with McGinley Innovations, our team will work alongside an engineer to develop a professional manufacturing plan.
We will submit this plan to a manufacturing company for future production and wider community impact. Because our bots build better mindsets.
Great presentation, guys. How much do you think this will cost for a production value?
We're not exactly sure.
Yeah, I don't think we've sat there and added up the costs.
I have a question. My school had 3 floors. How do you manage stairs?
This wouldn't be able to handle stairs, so at that point we would just put a Cellbot on each level.
Awesome.
First of all, I think the problem you guys are tackling, absolutely incredible. So huge props to you on that. Is this a product that you would want students to be interacting with every day, or is this more of, hey, I have an issue, I need to go directly to like Cellbot, every now and then, right? I'm curious kind of how that relationship building aspect, how you think about that.
So I think we would like it to be something where students can interact with it throughout the day. It's not just for people who are feeling down, it's for people who I just feel like it, so they can do it. It's not like, if you're feeling down, you have to use it, or you can't use it if you're not feeling down.
Totally. I think the potential for personalization down the road, right? Once these robots learn more about you, could be really interesting. It's very, very cool.
I'm really impressed by your presentation skills. I know how hard it is to be up there, and you guys are in middle school, which is it's so impressive. I'm curious what the feedback has been from your students, your fellow students, as Cellbot has been moving around and interacting with it.
I feel like students, they're happy to see it because they knew our old design, which was a lot shorter, but we made sure to keep the same look and same style. That way they would know it is still Cellbot. And when people see Cellbot, all they can do is smile, really. And it's happy to see that and makes us feel good about it.
Great idea, guys. Is that a working prototype?
Yep.
Can we see it in action?
So currently, the wheels are not the best wheels, and so they don't really work on carpet. So that's one addition that we would like to improve on is the wheels. But the interactive screen, sure. So friendly advice is say something kind to someone. It makes both of you feel happy. Mm-hmm. And then a funny joke. What comes down but never goes up? Rain. Mm-hmm. And then a positive message. The way you see yourself is more important than how others see you. And then a happy image.
Okay, I'll ask one more question. Has anyone been rough with it in the hallways?
No, this is our first and currently only one, and it's stayed in pretty good shape.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, CY Middle School. And perchance, have you thought about selling one of these to a 24-year-old girl? I will take it. Sign me up.
I definitely think that they should take our job next year and be the opening acts with those jokes, because we were laughing back there, so that was great. Great job, everyone.
Perfect. Awesome. And now awesome. And now to welcome Bloomington High School South from Bloomington, Indiana to the stage.
As a hard of hearing athlete, I often competed without my hearing aids. Rain, sweat, and risk of impact meant risking damage to a device that cost thousands of dollars and that I relied on every single day. But that wasn't safe either. I quickly sustained 2 concussions during practice because I missed vital cues from my teammates. When I went looking for a solution, I quickly realized that there were few to no products on the market to accommodate an active, hard of hearing lifestyle like mine. So together, we set out to create the product that I needed. But this isn't just my story. In the US alone, it's estimated that 73 million people have some form of hearing loss.
And hearing aids are expensive. They can be anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000 per device.
Globally, the hard of hearing population is growing, expected to hit 2.5 billion by 2050. The demand for more inclusive technology has never been greater than it is right now. So I'm Audrey.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Danielle, and we're honored to bring you Storm Shield, a protective headband made specifically for people with hearing loss.
Storm Shield features 3 key innovations. First, real-time radio frequency sensors detect nearby motion, such as approaching vehicles or unexpected obstacles, and alert the user using vibration motors. This system is powered by custom C++ firmware and can be controlled using our Bluetooth-connected app.
Second, a recyclable, microporous Gore-Tex membrane ensures complete moisture protection while maintaining breathability.
We also designed precision-modeled TPU ear shields through 3D CAD modeling to absorb impact, stay lightweight, and remain fully recyclable. So let's walk through how all these components work together in real-life situations.
Our first example, electric vehicles are quiet, so it can be difficult to hear them coming. If Storm Shield deems incoming motion as dangerous, a vibration alerts the user to be cautious. The sensitivity of this system can be adjusted using our app based on the user's specific environment. Speaking of environment, moisture is one of the key reasons why hearing aids fail, with one rainy walk potentially leading to serious damage. With Gore-Tex, you don't need to worry about sweat or rain damaging any delicate electronics. And finally, contact is a big part of many sports. That's why we designed 3D printed ear shields to absorb any impact.
During development, we went through 6 design iterations of the headband and circuit. We also developed 3 separate app interfaces, each focused on improving user interaction, expanding our user base, and making the system more energy efficient. Throughout the process, we utilized quantitative data and real user feedback from hard of hearing members of our community.
We've continued to improve the product. We added Velcro straps and in-app adjustability features to give the user more control over both fit and sensitivity. We also redesigned the headband to be much lighter and more compact.
One of our biggest supporters during this process has been Tamika Catchings, a 4-time Olympic gold medalist and fellow hard of hearing athlete. When we showed her our idea, she said that she loved the concept and the idea and believed that this could be a great product. She thinks that it's something that a lot of people could use, and hearing that from her meant everything to us. It really inspired us to envision the real-life potential of this product, beyond just the scopes of this competition.
Let's take a look. Pedestrian deaths have been increasing for over a decade and recently hit a 40-year high. A major factor, electric cars and scooters are nearly silent. And this isn't just a stat, it's a wake-up call. The world is getting quieter, and we need smarter ways to stay safe.
That's when we realized Storm Shield isn't just for hearing aid users. Since it can cover headphones such as Galaxy Buds, Storm Shield can be used by everyone, young or old, with or without hearing aids, athlete or not. Either way, Storm Shield gives you that extra layer of protection that you need while you're active.
With Storm Shield, we're breaking barriers and amplifying abilities because everyone deserves to live without limits. Thank you.
I'll go. Great idea. Love the idea. Question for you. So how does it work? Are you listening or you're getting like a vibration? How do you know an object is approaching?
Let me show you this box. All right, so this is where all of our electronics are stored.
Mm-hmm.
Inside, we have the radio frequency sensor, which feeds speed and distance readings into the system. Mm-hmm. And then there's a custom algorithm, which then basically gives a motion a danger score. And then there's a threshold that you can adjust based on the user's preferences. Mm-hmm. And so if the score exceeds the chosen threshold, there is a motor here at the top, mm-hmm. which will buzz on the head, alerting the user to be cautious, look backwards.
So it's a sound and a vibration, something like that?
Yes.
Got it. Okay, understand.
I have a question about future use. I have a daughter who swims, and there's a blind student on her team. So one of the challenges and the way that they address that right now is to tap the swimmer on the head with a tennis ball on a pole. So it seems like perhaps a distance sensor that could detect the edge of the pool might be something that would happen here. You mentioned this is covered in Gore-Tex. Can you put it in water? Or how might you otherwise adapt to a future use for someone visually impaired?
So as you can see here, we've covered part of this in Gore-Tex, and in future uses, we would want to cover it more, perhaps cover it in a waterproofing seal, such as silicone-based epoxy or something that is non-conductive in order to truly waterproof the electronics.
Yeah. But as you can see with the box that we currently have for our intended use, it is completely sealed within that box, so any of the electronics in there, although it's not covered in Gore-Tex right now, it is still protected from any rain or sweat.
Thank you.
I feel like I've met so many companies in this space, and the fact that you guys are innovating on it in high school is amazing. I want to talk a little bit more about maybe competition. Like, what are alternatives that, let's say, hard of hearing athletes might be using? What have they turned to historically? If you could speak to that a bit.
Yeah, so the current solutions out there are not compliant with regular sports regulations. So the strings on a regular hearing aid sleeve is not allowed in sports like track or lacrosse. So our product truly takes the headband component to make it to make it compliant. But there are also more expensive solutions like the hearing aid dehumidifiers, and those don't allow the player to be using their hearing aid in play. So they are off-the-field solutions that can be very expensive. But our product truly takes the headband design to make it more practical.
Very cool. I'm curious how heavy it is and how long you can actually wear it before maybe it gets uncomfortable, especially for an athlete.
So in terms of weight, I mean, you could take it off and hand it to them if you want. This version is much lighter than our original prototype, as you can probably tell just by looking. So in terms of weight and comfort, we've tried to make it as light and compact as possible. We chose lighter 3D printing materials and lighter fabrics, and hopefully in the future with future design iterations, we could get that box that has all of our circuits and stuff even more compact to maximize comfort for the user. But yeah, right now it just kind of hangs below the head, and because it's adjustable, it's less likely that it's gonna like slip off or anything because you can fit it to the user.
And have you been playing or using it while you're competing?
Not yet. I have done it on test trials, so I've tried it while running, but I haven't actually implemented it into my daily routine yet. But that is definitely something that I would love to do when this competition ends. It is something that I would use.
Question, is this something that you can see in terms of battery life working for, say, a full competition session, whether you're playing lacrosse for a full game, or is it something you have to swap batteries? What are you guys looking at in terms of battery life?
So as you can see on the side, it is a rechargeable battery, and so you can just plug it in USB-C cable style, but the battery life is around 50 hours of full-time use. So yeah, that, unless your lacrosse match goes overtime for 50 hours, and yeah, you can use it.
If I have time for one more question, kind of bouncing off of Charlotte's question, I'm curious. So the app right now, what are things you want to? What are key features you want to add moving forward that you would like to track?
Ooh. So right now, as you can see in the app, we have different actually presets. So we labeled them based on sensitivity, and if you click one, it'll automatically set to a threshold that matches that. But it's also adjustable based on the user. Any future things to add? I think just making it more user-friendly and like, here, you wanna?
So some of our current features so far is we have a score log, which actually allows you to visually see the data. We have a dark and light mode, which actually we coded so the user's preferences, the app remembers the user's preferences, so you don't have to change it every time. A couple things that we would like to add in future iterations, maybe a way to permanently store the data so we can analyze it further. Perhaps implementing some collision data or chatbots within the app itself to make it more user-friendly, more accessible in a variety of situations, and also adding audio features since we know that this will be used by the hard of hearing.
I think it would also be good to add maybe like battery life tracking.
Yeah.
So because it's so important for a hard of hearing user to know what battery life their hearing aid is at or the product is at, I think adding that would also be crucial to improvement.
I would say 3 very impressive young ladies that did an amazing job.
Wonderful.
Next up, we're going to bring up onto the stage Aurora Highlands P through 8 from Aurora, Colorado.
All right, hello, my name is Rose Vasquez Montoya,
And I am Raymond Justin Gallegos Jr.
and we are proud to represent our team at Aurora Highlands P3A in Aurora, Colorado. Thinking back to my childhood, some of my best memories involved video games. I remember going to the arcade with my family and playing racing games with my dad. I was happy being behind the wheel of a car, even if it was just in a video game.
For me, video games help me stay connected with my Uncle Joe even though we do not live together. I like to play video games like Call of Duty, and this helps me stay connected and talk to him even though I don't see him all the time. Our positive experiences with gaming are not unique. Video games offer social connection, emotional regulation, and many other benefits. Unfortunately, video games are not accessible to everyone, especially computer-based video games, as individuals with physical disabilities may struggle to use a traditional video game controller or keyboard.
To solve this problem, we designed and built an adaptive controller to help people with physical disabilities to more easily play and successfully play computer-based video games.
To begin, we sought community input from people like Cole, a popular video game streamer and disability advocate who shared with us his needs and wants in an adaptive controller, such as durability, affordability, and the option to customization for his unique preferences.
We also interviewed experts like Aaron, an occupational therapist who helped us understand that some people might lack the physical ability to hit small targets like a key on a keyboard. They also helped with the design of the controller, suggesting a simple white design with clearly labeled buttons that would be easier to understand for the user.
To build our prototype, we applied a variety of STEM skills. For example, we used what we learned about electrical circuits in science class to design the electrical engineering of our adaptive controller. We used CAD technology to design and 3D print controller buttons of various shapes and sizes. We engineered the frame of the controller out of wood to keep it sturdy and durable, and we surrounded it with a lightweight canvas to keep it portable and comfortable for the player. We utilized what we learned about scale and proportion in math class to develop a design that maximized the limited space on the surface of the controller.
To evaluate the success of our controller, we relied on play testers like kindergarten student Casper, who helped us find the successes and the weaknesses of our prototype. We even programmed a simple computer game to help our play testers get accustomed to the controller.
Using data collection from the playtesting, including feedback from our playtesters, we cycled through the engineering design process multiple times, identifying and improving upon areas of weakness until we arrived at our current prototype.
Our current adaptive controller prototype includes features that improve accessibility when compared to a traditional keyboard or controller. To promote ease of use for the player, the adaptive controller features a simple white design, clearly labeled buttons, and a simple plug-and-play setup. Our adaptive controller features oversized buttons that do not require pressing, but instead respond to physical touch. And a common request we've heard from the community was customization. Our current prototype features up to 10 possible button inputs that allow the player to easily change the button, type, size, and even layout with just a few minutes of reprogramming.
We hope our project highlights the challenges people with physical disabilities face and demonstrate the need for greater accessibility solutions that are effective yet affordable, and promote greater social inclusion. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Good stuff, guys. I feel like I should answer this. Give you this question since I play a lot of video games myself. What platforms does your controller support?
Platforms that our controller support, like, could you explain more about it?
PC, Mac.
It really supports any computer with a USB plug-in, and you can play any sort of game that involves a USB plug-in. So.
Okay. Follow-up question for you guys. There are other adaptive controllers out there from Microsoft and also PlayStation. How different is your controller, and what is the unique separation that you guys have from those guys?
So our controller, it is more affordable for people. So like, I know people with physical disabilities already have to live at a higher living price. So our controller, it is also durable, so they can, like, if they do break it, they can easily buy a controller. Like, we would sell it for probably around $70, just like an average controller, so that people with physical disabilities don't have to pay way higher price to get a normal controller.
Can you talk a little bit more about the coding and the technology involved in making that controller?
So we used an app called Tinkercad, and that helped like design each like button. And you see this USB, we have a microcontroller inside of it. It would be like around here, and we have alligator pins inside of the actual controller to connect to. There's as you can see, there's like a pin right here. So we use this copper tape, and this helps to have, it's conductive and cheap, so we could sell it for a low price. And here, we would put this around our audience or the person who's using the controller. We would put it around their wrist, and it would make a full circuit to make the controller kind of work. So let's say I will press, I don't have to have this, so this would be around my wrist, but I could move forward or backwards just by pressing on the controller. Instead of having to press it down, I can just touch it.
I'm really impressed by how much feedback you've gotten from potential users of the product. I'd love to hear about some feedback from potential users you've integrated into the product now and of how that idea has evolved.
So some feedback that we got from Cole is he wanted it to be durable, because he said that a lot of like the Microsoft controllers and all the controllers he has, they're easily breakable. So he wanted us to have a like stronger controller so that he doesn't have to go out and spend like, he was talking about he had to spend like $200 to buy a controller, and that's way too much for a controller.
Something else we also added is a simple design. We didn't want it to be too visually overstimulating or distracting for the player. We also know that could frustrate some players, so we wanted it to be, our occupational therapist, Aaron, told us it had to be something simple, something easy to understand, and something that's not too visually distracting or overstimulating.
Thank you.
Question, based on the feedback from the users, what additional improvements are you thinking coming up?
Some improvements that we would want to add are maybe a joystick for different types of games, like maybe for racing games or movement games. That could be like a good improvement instead of having like just these arrow keys, because you could play games, but it does limit your accessibility to certain games. And maybe like a voice activation thing to be able to play it, so it's easier for people who might not have like enough fine motor skills to even touch the controller.
Thank you.
If you were given more time and more money to develop this, how would you have changed the product?
I think, again, adding like a joystick or something voice activating so that we can be more inclusive to other physical disabilities that struggle to use keyboards and other things like that, but also maybe adding something so it's not just a computer-based thing and we can connect it to other sort of PCs, other sort of consoles, and yeah.
To add on also, we would maybe try to add a more durable, because this is made out of plywood and canvas, and like a average controller, we would want to make it out of like more plastic to make it stronger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, Aurora Highlands P through 8. I gotta say that this is truly remarkable, and I definitely have had some childhood friends that could have really benefited from this, so I really can't wait to see what else comes with it.
Yes, this was awesome. Thank you again. Perfect. And now to welcome to the stage from my home state of Arkansas, Bentonville West High School from Centerton, Arkansas.
Fun fact, these amazing gentlemen have been preparing super hard, also in the gym at the hotel, so getting that physical fitness in before presenting.
Thank you.
How you guys doing?
Good. I think you have to do like some stand-up now, just
Stand up? I'm awful with comedy. Alrighty, okay. Good morning, judges. Let's start off with a question. Have you ever had a sore or bump in your mouth and you thought it was probably nothing? Well, for thousands of Americans every year, that seemingly harmless bump is an early sign to one of the deadliest forms of cancer, oral cancer. Hi, my name is Vera Unum.
I'm Ronak Pai.
And I'm Lalit Kameshwaran. We're students from Bentonville, Arkansas, here to present Oral Scan, an innovative mobile app that aims to tackle the oral cancer epidemic using tomorrow's technology.
Oral cancer affects more than 58,000 Americans each year, claiming over 12,500 lives annually. On top of that, nearly half of all diagnosed patients will not survive 5 years after their diagnosis. The primary reason for oral cancer's high mortality rate is due to a lack of early diagnosis. Early detection can increase a patient's survival rate by up to 70%, yet fewer than 33% of cases are diagnosed in their early stages. This is because biopsies and intraoral inspections, the current standard diagnostic methods, are simply not accessible. They're expensive, invasive, time-consuming, and require trained medical professionals. These barriers make early detection inaccessible for millions, particularly in underserved states like Arkansas, where a lack of dental diagnostic resources makes oral cancer mortality rates higher than the national average. After talking to a local family who's gone through this stressful diagnostic process, we knew that we had to find a way to make this process more accessible, as it could save thousands of lives nationally and worldwide.
So we developed Oral Scan, a mobile app available on Android and iOS that is able to detect oral cancer from a simple image of your mouth and 5 key risk factors. Oral Scan is powered by our novel 5-stage AI diagnosis pipeline, which we developed by reading over 50 research papers on current AI-powered solutions for cancer diagnosis. And we collaborated with global universities to curate a data set of over 6,000 professionally annotated intraoral images, the largest data set of its kind. We use Python, TensorFlow, and Google Colab to build and iterate on our AI model over 16 times, ultimately creating that 5-stage multimodal AI architecture, which is detailed in our research paper in front of all of you. Oral scan works by taking an image of your mouth and 5 key patient risk factors, and it uses cutting-edge technology such as UNets and fine-tuned classifiers in order to identify the location and severity of any cancer that is present in your mouth. Oral scan is state-of-the-art, judges. It locates oral cancer with 97% accuracy, and it diagnoses it with an unprecedented 93% accuracy.
For greater accessibility, we decided to create a mobile app using Figma for the UI and Flutter for the app itself. To ensure anyone, regardless of device, can access our app, we chose to host the AI model using a cloud-based backend. After speaking with SupplyPike, a local AI startup in Northwest Arkansas, we decided to implement a distributed task queue architecture using Nest.js and Amazon Web Services for the backend. We also worked with local dentists in Northwest Arkansas to create an optional, affordable, and sustainable 3D printed hardware bracket that enables clinicians to capture high-quality intraoral images quickly and consistently.
Here's a demo of the app, judges. Once authenticated, users can see all their previous diagnoses on the screen. They can click on a diagnosis to view details such as the location of cancer, type, severity, and any future directions. To make a diagnosis, patients will first simply take an image of the person's mouth and make sure it's well lit. After the image is captured, they will fill out a quick 5-question survey about oral cancer risk factors. Apologize for that, but after that survey is filled out and the risk factors are calculated, our AI model will process all of that and create a detailed diagnosis in under 10 seconds. Patients can also go back to the home screen to view peer-reviewed resources on how to diagnose oral cancer themselves.
Oral scan is incredibly accessible, delivering accurate diagnoses in under 10 seconds for just 15 cents per diagnosis, all without the need for prior medical training. We closely followed the World Health Organization's AI guidelines to prepare for clinical trials and are currently collaborating with local dentists who believe in our idea to refine for clinical and at-home use. Oral scan has the potential to save thousands of lives by increasing early diagnosis and reducing the barriers between underserved communities and proper oral health care.
Thank you.
And just to be clear, that was a live demo of
Yes,
your mouth.
ma'am.
Okay. I'm curious, where did the idea originate?
Yeah, so Lalit, you want to talk about?
Yeah, so our family friends in India, they've went through this stressful process. And fortunately, none of them actually got diagnosed with oral cancer, but we saw them go through this stressful diagnostic procedure. And we saw how long it took for results and also how expensive it was. And this inspired our idea. And then after getting research from data sets, like the 6,000 image data set, this expanded our research.
And to add on to that, I've grown up most of my time in a suburban town in India called Pedaponi, and we don't have that much access to medical care there, and my grandparents often travel to a bigger city to access medical health care. And so I thought that the current state of research solved that problem by providing things like mobile apps or remote solutions for oral cancer diagnosis. But to our surprise, specifically the field of oral cancer has been severely under-researched. So what we did was we tried to apply techniques that were researched for things like skin cancer and gingivitis in order to apply previously done research and integrate our own research to solve this problem.
Who is your market, the individual users or the medical field?
Yes, sir. So right now, our target market is specifically the USA because we have all the legal restrictions that we followed are of the NIH, the FDA, and the World Health Organization. Obviously, there are other legal boards in Europe and Asia that we would have to follow, but right now our app is primarily targeted towards US clinics.
Just to clarify, I meant either I'm the user as an end consumer, or this is more for like a dentist offices or
Yeah, so that's the cool thing about our app. It's for both. It's a two-pronged solution. So in our initial rollout, we want to sell it to dentists in order to test our app under supervised guidance. But then also, you don't need that physical bracket in order to take the images. So anyone with a phone and a stable Wi-Fi connection can use our app with almost no training required, as we have detailed tutorials within the app.
My question, oh, go ahead. Sure. My question is, I'm working with an organization called, what they do is they have the largest data set of pediatric heart scans in the world, and they're trying to make sure that students don't die. If I could use your models, could I put in different images and potentially reuse the way you've trained your AI with a different data set?
That's a great question. So actually up here, you'll see the architecture of our model. And what you'll see is none of that is specific to oral cancer. We're actually testing on using this model, which is completely novel. This is made by all three of us. We're using to diagnose things such as skin cancer, gingivitis, and even some CT scans. So medical data that is not. So the primary specialty of our model is it is able to analyze raw images. So CT scans are pretty watered down, as in they remove unnecessary noise that's present in an image. But whenever you take an image of your mouth, there's things that are not related to oral cancer at all that an AI model will face, which our model eliminates.
Yeah. To add on to that, due to the nature of our unit architecture, as long as you feed it enough data sets, like our data set was specifically for oral cancer, if you were to add your own type of data set with enough images, our model could be trained on that.
I think the idea of using like AI for diagnosis is quite up and coming right now. There are also a lot of concerns and hesitations about it. I'm curious if you could walk me through kind of what the regulatory landscape would be for something like this moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. So again, as you mentioned, AI is an upcoming technology, so there's not too many regulations in place, and even the World Health Organization guidelines that we followed weren't too strict. So the main type of AI bias that we're trying to reduce is data-induced bias. So we try to make sure that our data set covered as wide of a region as possible. So we have patients from South Asia, South Africa, Europe, and all over the world to ensure that we have a wide demographic. On top of that, we use robust data augmentation techniques in order to introduce noise into the image. So like some of our images, we artificially added shadows into the image. So an AI model knows how to deal with shadows and things like that. And again, one of the biggest problems with artificial intelligence is you know if it works or not, but you don't know why it works because of how abstract it is. So one way we deal with that is a multi-layer architecture, right? Most AI models right now tell you if you have cancer or not. But our model not only tells you if you have cancer, it tells you where you have cancer, and it also tells you what stage that cancer is in. So all this information, an actual doctor can use in order to either reconfirm his or her opinions, or they can use this information to conduct even more advanced diagnosis methods like biopsies.
And like, so a physician would have to confirm the diagnosis, right? How do you kind of think about that layer?
Yeah. So obviously, the primary purpose of our app is to provide people who don't have access to physicians a reason to visit the physician or not, right? So not everyone can splurge $1,000 to get a biopsy for something that could have been a pizza burn. So our app adds a lower level or easier ease of access to diagnosis. So obviously we're not aiming to replace biopsies, we're aiming to provide a more affordable but yet accurate self-diagnosis solution for oral cancer.
And just to follow up, in the app where you showed us in the demo, there's a payment button?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a pay per use system?
Yeah, so we have two versions of this app. One app that will run the model on board, so on the device, and another app that will run the model on a cloud-based backend. So obviously all the phones don't have the processing power to run our AI models. A great vast amount of phones do because of how efficient ours is. But if your phone does not have the power to run our AI model on board, we actually created this backend which runs for extremely cheap on the cloud, and it makes sure that each diagnosis only costs 15 cents. So again, we do provide a free resource, but that 15 cents is to make it as accessible as possible, but make sure that our business or our product isn't in depth and can actually manage our digital infrastructure.
I was looking at the app. Do you have any option for referrals to, dentists, especially if there's a diagnosis or it looks like there's going to be a diagnosis? Because right now I don't see that there on the app.
Yes, sir. So if you go into the resources page on the app, you'll see a list of clinics close to you, which you can click on to go to a Google Maps. And these are clinics that we use the Google Maps API to pick using another system to make sure that they have specialists for oral cancer. If we do market these to clinics, we want to create custom apps for each clinic, so they have things such as patient management, passing second opinions and things like that.
Yeah, and one of the future improvements we hope to install are that once you're able to get a diagnosis, there's going to be an in-app way to actually send the raw picture and the model's responses to the dentist.
And the resources tab in the second button from the bottom right.
And then is this something that, I guess, will you have access to past medical history in like kind of plugging into an EMR and EHR? Is that something that you guys are thinking about for the future?
Yes, ma'am. So what we want to do is we want to introduce more modality to our app. When a doctor makes a diagnosis for you, they just don't take a look at your phone, right? They take a look at your family history. They took a look at whether you drink and things like that. Our app has some multimodality, as in it considers how much you drink, how much you smoke, which are risk factors. But in the future, we'd love to introduce other forms of image modalities, like CT scans, MRI scans, or things like that, if you have them available, to make a more robust diagnosis. And on top of that, I just want to point out the security aspect of this app. All of the data that's transferred to the backend is SHA-256 encoded, which is one of the most secure encoding platforms. And on top of that, whenever we pass data to the AI model, we send it through a layer of abstractification, which means that the AI model isn't able to recognize your mouth as yours. It only gets the key features that are required to make the diagnosis, which makes sure that our app complies with FIPA regulations.
Great. Thanks.
Let's hear it one more time for Bentonville.
Awesome.
And I think overall, let's also give a big shout out, a big applause to our first 5 schools here today for their incredible work on these projects.
It has already been such a wonderful morning. I cannot wait to see what our remaining 5 teams have in store for us later today.
Absolutely. And so with that, we're going to take a short 15-minute break. We're going to come back. So get some water, get some quick rest, and we'll be right back here in 15 minutes.
Thanks, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, please find your seats so we may resume program. Please find your seats.
Welcome back to the 15th annual Samsung Solve for Tomorrow contest pitch event. So far this morning, we've heard from 5 of our incredible national finalists from the great states of Louisiana, Wyoming, Indiana, Colorado, and Arkansas. And we're looking forward to introducing our next group of finalists.
But before we do that, I think it's also a great moment to really double down on what today means for Solve for Tomorrow as a program. We have our 10 national finalists in front of us here today, but I also want to give a shout out to the 40 state winners that took part in our competition, the 250 additional state finalists that applied as well, and our thousands of teacher and student applicants this past fall. Without all of you and your support and dedication, this program would not be what it is. And all of you took a chance to make a difference, seeking to use STEM to aid your schools and communities, and this is a great reminder that Gen Z and Gen Alpha really embody the future of work. You're building skills not just for use in the classroom, but skills that will be with you for a lifetime, including teamwork, collaboration, and leadership. So it's all for tomorrow, whether you make it to the final stage of the competition or not. What you do beyond the competition is just as important as what you're doing during it.
That's right. During year 14 of the Samsung Solve for Tomorrow, this mission came to life in Newberry, South Carolina, where Newberry High School earned the title of South Carolina State Winner. Although they did not advance to the finals, the high school career lab students, led by special education teacher Heather Alexander, continued to address local community issues. Their innovative project, a pollinator garden and compost system, not only tackled sustainability at their school, but also demonstrated the power of STEM to drive community change and inspire career transformation. This past fall, Samsung and Solve for Tomorrow visited Newberry. Let's take a look.
My goal with all of my students is to make sure that when they leave here, they are prepared for the real world, and a real world that is quickly moving towards more technology-based jobs. Here in South Carolina, Samsung has a huge presence.
Corporations like Samsung have an impact into the community. For me, that's what Solve for Tomorrow is. I'm the one of the people that get to go and interact with students.
Honestly, Solve for Tomorrow, it was a hope to bring technology into the classroom. The goal of our Samsung Solve for Tomorrow project was to reduce food waste and recycle plastics. My students and I needed help, so we ended up going to Mr. Wessinger and the robotics club.
My team was able to kind of give them some inspiration, kind of give them a place to get started. And not just that, but also help coach them through the process.
Sharing knowledge about STEM to me is really like opening people's eyes to what career paths they can take. You can do so much with STEM and engineering. It's what I want my future to be. Where you can see where we have the compost barrel.
Working with Ms. Alexander's class, I've seen a lot of growth with their students, with confidence and friendships that have been made and subjects that they may not have thought about.
And being innovative as you do it.
And I got talents. And
you like repairing things?
They have all the talents that any other student I've ever taught have. But sometimes they're not given the chance to show that. With Samsung, I've begun to be able to give them those opportunities that they need. And they deserve that. So, Dominic, what was your favorite part about our project?
About the plants.
The plants?
Doing the dirt.
The dirt, you like playing in the dirt?
The dirt, putting seeds there.
You feel more confident?
Yes.
Yeah, I can definitely tell. Good job, man.
What a powerful video. I know I have some chills. I know that there were some tears in the crowd. I'm not talking about just myself. But this really shows what Samsung Solve for Tomorrow is all about. But speaking of tears and chills, I hope that our upcoming presenters don't have too many of those because they have an amazing solution to share with you.
Yes, we are very excited for the second half of our pitches. As a reminder, each team gets 10 minutes for both presentation and Q&A.
Let's welcome our next group to the stage, Lathrop High School, all the way from Fairbanks, Alaska.
Hello, my name is Elias Caroso.
My name is Nurchin Sultan.
My name is Joaquin Caroso, and we're from Lathrop High School. All right. So the problem that we're facing is that in Alaska and other Arctic regions, it's really easy for snow and ice to cover the lines on roads. If we can't see the lane lines, we don't know where we're supposed to be, and we might get into a car crash, we might be in a hazardous section of the road, and we might miscommunicate with other drivers. This is an issue. Now, as you can see here, on this road that we drive to every day to get to school, there's supposed to be 4 lanes, but we're driving on it as if there were 2 lanes. Now, as new drivers, as new drivers, this makes us especially nervous. Now, we talked to a few different professionals when we were coming up with our solution. One of them helped us think about public road safety. Another one taught us about specific industries, especially in Alaska, that could benefit from this, like trucking. And one of them taught us about how we could integrate our different technologies, put this solution together. We also have a huge team, 11 people. So we divided ourselves into 3 smaller groups, a communications team, a prototyping team, and a statistics and research team. And together, we came up with this solution.
So essentially how our prototype works is that lines are projected parallel to the prototype using servos. And the motion of these servos is controlled using Java. And we use a IMU, which is kind of like a miniature version of a car's GPS to calculate angles and positions of the prototype. So as you can see, this is an old version of our prototype. It was a little bit wider that we scaled down to be a little bit more realistic. And as you can see, there is both vertical and horizontal movement of the lines to project the lasers. So we use a lot of STEM in our process. For example, we used computer science mostly to create like the objects, variables, and classes necessary for a robot to move. We used a lot of technology from 2 prominent robotics companies, the wiring, the drivetrain, the motors, the shafts, the servos, and everything else is all from those 2 companies. We use the 6-step engineering design process we're also familiar with from school as kind of like the backbone of our journey. Whenever we felt like lost or didn't know what to do, this process helped us set goals for ourselves. And we use mathematics to translate like X and Y gamepad inputs into like corresponding kinematic outputs using a little bit of logic and trig.
In the real world, laser lane lines would be sold as a product that would go at the front of a car, and it would project the laser lines just as our prototype models. It would then use differential GPS for global positioning, visual odometry so that the laser lines can adjust, LiDAR and ground-penetrating radar to create input for a 3D precise map, which would work with machine learning so that the car can adapt in any roadline situation. All these technologies together, paired with things that cars already have, work to meet the visibility challenges in laser lane lines. The great thing about our project is that all of these technologies already exist and are implemented in cars every single day. We just need manufacturers to put them together, and then we would sell it for about $125 due to inexpensive lasers, adaptable components, and positioning systems already being in cars. There would be an invaluable impact to laser lane lines. Billions of dollars would be saved with insurance and car wrecks. Hundreds of thousands of crashes would be prevented, and thousands of human lives could be saved. Our #1 goal is for people to feel safer, less nervous, and more confident on the roads. So thank you, and drive safe out there.
So So you shared. Is this the aftermarket? I just want to understand a little bit more about what you shared with us here, the physical product.
Yes, so that was just so you guys can feel what we're working with here. The lasers, that was just a $10 laser that we were able to buy off the market. And that's not necessarily the kind of part that we would use in global commercialization.
Right, it's just that, like, it's kind of like a proof of concept, and obviously there's like much stronger lasers and different colors that we're hoping you could use, and depending if it's day or night.
I like that you had spoken to somebody from Waymo. They've been testing a lot in very dry, flat areas like Nevada. I mean, snow is a very difficult condition for self-driving cars. Were you surprised to learn that this sort of solution or that this wasn't already available? I mean, to me, it seemed a little bit surprising that, you know, especially for people who have been living in these conditions for a long time, that you didn't have a solution like this already.
It was very surprising. I mean, this technology exists, of course, like ground penetrating radar using subterranean landmarks to map out the roads. And we found that that's just not accessible in rural areas like around Alaska, interior Alaska. There's truckers in Valdez that could really use this technology on the roads. I mean, they're just in their car and they're just they're looking at a screen, not even the road, just because like during blizzards. And if they were just able to see the road lines, they would be much safer and wouldn't have to worry.
And my last question, just back on Waymo, what was their response when you presented your solution to them? And did they have a response to you as to why they haven't figured out the icy conditions yet?
Yeah, from Waymo we learned, like, the biggest thing we learned from Waymo was that all of these technologies that we've like presented, they already exist. We're not really like, we don't have to come up with them. And this is great because like we're just kind of putting them together into a like kind of like a proof of concept, because we think that like specifically for cars that this could benefit them greatly.
Let me ask a question about the actual process to generate the idea. Okay, why did you come up with this specific concept?
So we did a lot of brainstorming as to what it was the most pressing matter. And, you know, as we saw, our drive to school every day was dicey. And so we wanted to do something about it. We really thought about how we could be safer. And, you know, we got our licenses recently. So this was a big problem for us. And so we came up with that problem to solve. And we kind of brainstormed a lot of different solutions. We found that lasers seem to work pretty well. So it was really just a local problem and one that was in our daily lives, which is how we came up upon it.
Thank you.
Really awesome work here. I think it was a $125 number for the cost, if I'm not mistaken. I was curious if you could break that down a little bit more for us, maybe what alternatives, materials you could have used and how you kind of got to that 125 number.
I'm glad you asked. That was more of an estimate since we're not exactly like in the commercialization phase, but we've thought a lot about cost breakdown. I mean, those lasers, they were like $10, and like adaptable components we're estimating to be around $40 to $60. And then of course there's the positioning systems, the technology we talked about, LiDAR, ground penetrating radar, visual odometry, and those could also be around $40 to $60. But we could also depend on those already being in cars, which they are a lot.
Just to add on to that, specifically the two systems that already exist in cars a lot is visual odometry and GPS. I mean, basically every car made after like 2000 has a GPS, and visual odometry is basically kind of like your backup camera and knowing that distance. So we think if we just use those already existing technologies in cars, we could cut down on a lot of our costs.
Speaking of those existing technologies in cars, how will you adapt to vehicles that don't have those technologies? For instance, LiDAR, even though it's available in more recent cars, I would say cars in the last 5 years don't have LiDAR. How does your technology adapt to those kind of situations?
Right, so essentially like all those kind of, like the visual odometry, the DPS, the LiDAR, the ground penetrating radar, those are all kind of like just steps for more like accurate positioning of the lines. You don't necessarily need all of them. For example, like the most basic one would probably be visual odometry, which is just camera or GPS. So if you had like a more advanced car, then you probably would have a more accurate representation of where the lines are. But we're hoping that just the GPS is enough for the positioning of the lasers.
I've only been to Alaska once, and it was in the summer when it's very bright all the time. I imagine you have snow and it's dark, but when it's bright and there's snow, it's very bright out. Does this technology work both in the dark and in the light? And maybe it's dark more often, I don't know, but maybe you could talk more about what it's like being in Alaska driving.
That's a great question. We tried our lasers out in the snow, and they were able to be pretty opaque, and which works great for us. Like a dark blue would work perfect. And we tested it in the dark, and it lit up pretty well. And like in the wintertime, it's just always dark. That's just how driving is. And really, the lasers would be adaptable to that. And you'd be able to see, we've estimated our length for the lasers to be about a car in front of you, so about 15 feet. And that should be plenty for drivers to be safe on the roads. And then, of course, you know, in the summertime, there is no night, right? So those lasers, they're going to be pretty dark so that drivers would be able to be safe, and the lasers can match up the lane lines.
And we can experiment with different colors to try and match the surface. We should do a little bit more like research into that, but there's a lot of customization that we can get into that and see if we can have more effective colors kind of thing.
Have you guys thought about your technology in different environments or locations, like the Middle East, desert storms, you know, sub-Saharan Africa, where we have a lot of heavy rains? Will that technology also work in those kind of situations? Because I know that I'm from Nigeria, so I know when it rains heavily, you really can't see more than about 2 or 5 feet in front of you. So would that apply?
It definitely should, yeah. We're thinking about this kind of in Alaska because we live in Alaska, but it's been suggested to us by a few like professionals we talked to that this could be really a global scale. We could definitely apply it to places in Africa, places in the Middle East where road lane lines are also hard to see, maybe for different reasons.
I love it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lathrop High School. Coming all the way from Alaska. Kudos. All right, next up we have Edgerton Elementary School from Maplewood, Minnesota. Give them a hand when they come on stage. There you go. Nice. All right, good luck, guys.
Imagine going ice fishing with your friends. Oh, sorry. Imagine going ice fishing with your friends when suddenly the ice cracks underneath your feet. You fall underneath, putting your life in danger. Hello, my name is Geneva.
And I'm Joseph.
And
we represent the team from Edgerton Elementary.
Around 250 people die each year from falling through ice just in the U.S. So our team has designed a device that will measure how thick the ice is and if it is safe to walk on. We hope our device will lower the death toll and make on-ice activities safer.
We are from Minnesota, also known as the land of 10,000 lakes. So this is an issue that greatly concerns the people of our state. In order to solve the problem, we have made a device. Our device has sensors that will measure the ice thickness, and then we'll send it to our app through a microbit and Google Sheets. We have also made our code through our MIT App Inventor, which will then display all our data.
So far, one of the only ways to check if ice is safe to walk on is going onto the lake and measuring the thickness yourself, increasing the risk of falling into the ice. This will benefit the community by preventing as many deaths and creating a way for people to have fun on the ice knowing they are safe.
Our team has designed our device to not cause harm to any creature on purpose and to minimize the amount of deaths due to falling through thin ice. Our device also is programmed to send the data we get wirelessly back to us, where we can analyze the data and then present it onto our app in a formal way.
We now have a more improved device and have found most, if not all, of the bugs, but we will still continue to improve our project. We can now analyze the data sent to us and the code will automatically perfect the data and have it put into our app.
All the data that's being sent to us, we can automatically take and put into the app, which now leaves people to be able to just access the data with a click of a button, which will make it a lot safer for people, and people can access this information at any time.
As a team, we have researched how to research and find information on how to create our app, how thick ice has to be in order for it to be safe to walk on, and we also watched videos on how to use and combine that information in order to make our app.
We also learned how to wire up all of the things that we have right here, like our microbit and also our sensor, which is how we are able to display it onto our app.
In the future, we hope to collaborate with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources so that they can monitor the device and share the information and how to create it with everyone.
We believe this collaboration would help people be able to see all the things, like the information put into our app, because we would be able to partner with them and they would be able to make more of them and make it available to the public.
Because of our project, people will have a safer way to check if ice is safe to walk on or drive on.
We hope that our project will help minimize the amount of deaths and hard hazards that'll happen. And we hope that people can make smart and wise decisions on the ice with the new information they get.
Don't fall through ice. I know you're looking at that lake and you're feeling kind of brave. Check the app, you'll be all right. Don't fall through ice.
Use Ice Savers. Thank you for your time. Does anybody have any questions?
I grew up in Michigan. I ice skated on lakes and sometimes went down a sled that would shoot out onto the ice on accident. Is there a way that I could see the results as a kid going out to play? Is there a display that would help me?
We didn't bring the phone, but then on the phone, when you get into our app, there is a button that you push, and obviously, because I explained that, but it'll display the data that is up there and saying how thick the ice is from the sensor, because we have a sensor underneath it at a depth of probably, we would have about 4 inches. If it's a popular for other things like trucks and stuff like that, you might put it lower underneath, but then it would send it up, see how much distance is between it, and subtract that from the main total, and that's the amount of ice you have there. So then if it's 4 inches, then you can go on it, which is a regulated thing from the Department of Natural Resources. And from there, you can take that, and then if you have to have a phone, obviously. I don't think we could just have it on posters, because that'd be a lot of work. But you have to have a phone, and then you can just access that whenever you need.
Great, thanks.
That was such a phenomenal presentation, amazing additional pizzazz as well. Huge kudos, I love it. Could you walk us through what's on the stage a little bit, the kind of prototype sensor?
So how this is designed is the main thing that we were working on is our sensor. So this is what is sending the waves out for the distance. And the microcomputer, which I've explained a few times, is right here. Yep. It's the thing that takes all the data and processes it and then turns that into the thing, so it sends it. We also have our power source right here.
Got it.
And then me and Geneva didn't work on doing this. We mainly worked on writing the script and doing other things. So I don't exactly know what this does too much, but I'm guessing that it's it's the distance of how far something is away. I really don't know though.
Yeah. But also with the microbit itself, it was face down for their presentation, but the sensor has been picking up data, and it is currently presenting numbers for how far away the next surface is in inches for.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. I thought you guys did a really great job, so congratulations. I wanted to know, when you guys were developing this together, what was the most challenging part of the process?
Probably figuring out how we can just connect it. Probably time shooting, troubleshooting with time, because there wasn't a ton of time to make this, and we didn't have ice, obviously.
Yeah.
Because this was done before we could make the device And B, by the time the device was done, there was no ice left. So,
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really work without ice, I think.
Yeah. And also, like, haven't really completely finished the device. We want to create a 3D, printed container for all of it, so that it could safely be contained inside of lakes. But the 3D printer at our school is not working right now, so our teacher has written a grant for more new 3D printers so that we could do that later.
Yeah, you don't have to worry. We're going to get new ones. Don't worry. It's not going to be a problem for long. You don't need to worry.
It's going to look like the picture right there, right? Is that the final product? That is how it's going to look?
Well, it's pretty much that. So there's the anchor and the buoy, but then we would then have all of this in a capsule, somewhere in the middle of it, under the water.
Yeah, they don't let you bring anchors on planes.
Yeah, so we can bring
That was kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think as they pack up their prototype here, I want to give a special shout out. They just did a jingle on stage. I think we're all nervous about presenting up here, and they're singing as well, so really amazing work. And a additional just tidbit about their team. We want to give a special shout out to Eleni. She is a team member that was not feeling too well, and she couldn't make it out here. So Joseph steps in within the last 24 hours to come out here and present that with all of them. So really amazing work. What was that, Joseph? Eleni, I apologize. Eleni, we hope you're feeling better. Joseph's got your back. But I think now we're ready to bring on our next team, the Academy of Aerospace Engineering from Windsor, Connecticut.
Hi, judges. My name's Sujay.
I'm Ritvik.
And I'm Vikram. Let me ask you something. Is this map familiar? This is a heat map of Washington, D.C. And right now, D.C. ranks 6th for the nation's largest temperature spikes. And this could also be the reason why your energy costs have been increasing each year. However, it's not just D.C. that faces this issue. Many cities across the world face this issue. And that's because of the urban heat island effect, or UHI. UHI impacts many cities by trapping heat inside of them. This impacts many groups, especially historically marginalized groups. When we talk to our teachers about how we saw their energy costs just soar each year due to the urban heat island effect, we knew we had to investigate.
Many cities currently use solutions such as green spaces and even smart technology to combat UHI. However, this technology can be incredibly expensive and time costly, as it can cost hundreds and millions of dollars for cities to incorporate these designs. However, we decided to see how we can bring these solutions in a cost-effective manner and reduce time in implementing these solutions.
To address this question, we created HeatMap, an AI and IoT-powered solution designed to help mitigate UHI in cities, utilizing thermal sensors, an AI model, and our intuitive application. We create a cohesive platform for UHI mitigation strategies to be streamlined in city implementations.
This is our thermal data collection system known as HeatScope. It uses stereo cameras to collect data and is powered by solar energy. It is all housed inside this 3D printed PET sheet construction, which is incredibly durable to the elements as found through our various CFD simulations. Additionally, this friction-fit design can be implemented in any urban environment.
HeatMap's two main phases include data collection and data analysis. Data collection involves gathering tons of data from our network of heat scopes, which are then funneled into a publicly accessible database, empowering researchers with insights never found before. By feeding this data into our AI model, we're able to predict future UHI activity, which is then sent and with our mitigation recommendations, and then fed to our application called HeatMap.
With user savings and accessibility in mind, community members can spot and report heat anomalies in their area to local state officials all through our application and our report feature. By using APIs such as Samsung SmartThings to optimize energy usage through the concept of demand response, users can save excess costs and can earn points and compete against their community members to make it a fun and cool way to incentivize mitigating UHI.
Well, how does our solution generally help these cities? Well, heat map includes and informs cities and citizens about the risks of heat maps and UHI, and helps them be informed and utilize the cost-benefit analysis to help reduce the energy usage. By conducting our own cost-benefit analysis of our solution, we were able to display a cost-benefit ratio of just 17:1, and over the course of 10 years, a $1.5 million savings, displaying the benefits of heat map to be used in real-world cities.
Now, let's see how we can implement heat scopes in a place near you. First, we'll have to get on the ground and look for these UHI hotspots and understand where to best place heat scopes to get the most coverage with the least amount of utility. Next, we'll have to talk to municipal governments and local building owners to place our first network of heat scopes to collect our first round of data. After that, this data will go directly to the communities most impacted by UHI so we can get their first round interview and understand how to better our product. Ultimately, heat scopes won't just mitigate UHI. They will also help uplift the community, reduce medical concerns, and build a greener future for all.
We're really excited to announce that we presented at Connecticut's largest AI conference with over 500 plus attendees. What we did here was we presented our project to many of these executive companies and collaborated with researchers from Yale University and UT San Antonio to develop the implementation plan of our product. We're also excited to announce that we showcased our project to Senator Chris Murphy, and he was really impressed with our project, which shows the potential implications of heat map. Now on to our next steps. One of the biggest things that we want to do going forward is work on grant pooling through sustainability-based initiatives, and this can help us design for manufacturability so you don't only see 2 here, but 10 or 20 heat scopes on the table. Then we would work with Samsung SmartThings and look at APIs such as that to help with automatic energy optimization. Although heat rises, we're going to rise higher with the challenge. We're going to track, predict, and mitigate UHI to help cities solve for tomorrow. Thank you for your time, judges, and we're open to any questions.
Very impressive, guys. Good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to go back to your last point, the next steps. So I measure, right, the mitigation part. What can I do? So, you know, if you get a high concentration of UHI, then who needs to act? And what do you do?
Exactly. So one of the first things I would do with this implementation is talk to municipal governments to actually set up these heat scopes, especially with like companies like Eversource who try to go net zero. And with many of heat risk zones, as we've collaborated with the Yale researcher says T.C. Chakraborty, he has a data set on exact heat risks in cities with a 2D map. And we can pinpoint those heat risks such as like a power plant or places such as that. Place those heat scopes in the area, allow community members to find heat anomalies, and say, for example, there's 2 buildings, and a vent and a smokestack, and there's just heat cycling and cycling, making that place really uncomfortable for many citizens. Then you can report it straight to city officials, and that's a more optimized way to target these UHI anomalies.
Additionally, as this is an in-between with existing solutions, we can find exactly where to place either green spaces or these smart technologies to cut down on that UHI added source without having to cover a large swatch of land. So we can more effectively use existing solutions.
When we also presented at the Connecticut General Assembly, we also noticed that they had an entire meeting on UHI. And governments across the world, especially in the United States, are really looking forward to help mitigate this before it gets too late. So we want to use this as a preventative measure to deploy this now to help the cities of tomorrow.
Maybe bouncing off of Renzo's question, on the go-to-market side, like how would I, as a user, get this app? Would I be hearing about it from private companies, from the government? Would I be finding it on my own? How would I get it in my hands?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Advertising is especially unique, especially today. You have to advertise your product. So one of the biggest things is when we're reaching out to municipal governments who really want to go net zero, and with companies who want to go net zero, their main initiative is to advertise such products like this. So we would use places that really focus on being net zero, use them as the first testing hotspots to help make their lives and make their cities better. And by doing that, we can have better surveys, we can have more positive responses to our product, and that can help have other surrounding cities see, okay, this city is going net zero, they're saving on energy costs, maybe we should do it too, maybe we should advertise as well. So it really spreads the impact as well, because people have more money in their wallets, and that makes everyone happy.
Awesome, thank you.
Question, what's the effective range of the heat scope?
So the effective range varies depending on how high they're placed up and how much open land that the heat scopes can cover using their cameras. But so far, we projected that it can cover a decent part up to 1/8 of a mile, depending on how high it is. And it's also working in a network, so they can cover and overlap certain areas that might need more consistent tracking and time interval checked.
And in combination with the stereo camera system that we have, we also have the depth perception aspect, which can help inform more 3D aspects of air, because air UHI is more and more impactful for public health and energy optimization and wastage worldwide. So many of the researchers we've talked to have shown that surface UHI is a big problem, but it's easy to detect. But air UHI is even more difficult to detect. So utilizing our solution and with the depth perception, we intend to expand this range with the stereo camera-like framework and go further and further with this building network, create this thermal 3D map, which can be displayed for people and also leaders to help just explore through and pinpoint those areas.
Okay, follow-up question. How do you calculate the amount of heat scopes you need for a city? So like a city like yours, because I know you guys give a cost breakdown here in this document, how do you calculate the amount of heat scopes you need for the projection for that city?
Right, exactly. So it really depends on cities. So here in Washington, D.C., it's pretty flat generally compared to other cities like Chicago or New York. So you would need relatively less heat scopes to cover large amounts of land, especially if you can get access to a high-rise building that would be able to utilize heat scopes. So it really varies depending on the heat scopes. But when you're talking about cost and actually implementing the number of heat scopes, the savings you would get from the heat scope is really negligible compared to the cost of manufacturing or repairing the heat scope. So we would generally have a net positive on savings when we implement this project.
Additionally, since we worked with Dr. Chakraborty and the Yale Geoscience UHI initiative, we already have some data from Yale on main cities such as Chicago and New York. And we've seen throughout the years, and throughout the seasons too especially, where these UHI spikes occur. So in those areas first, we can go down there and do almost like a consultation and understand how many heat scopes you need for this area first before we figured out the rest of the city.
I have an additional data question that may go with that. There are already weather stations related to news or NOAA or airports. How does your data either interact with, or are you competing with that data?
That's a great question. So those news stations, and especially alongside with the Yale and other projects that are going against geoscience and these UHI issues, they're covering from a satellite and above ground view of the entire city and not getting a more personalized look into the cities and each building. With our heat scope network, and especially with the depth perception, as Ritvik mentioned, we can see exactly what portion of what buildings and what areas of what towns are causing this UHI. And if it even is like a large workspace of buildings, we can see which company on what floor is contributing to this UHI and who's leaving their heat on. And by targeting those issues directly, we can mitigate UHI without having to consult the whole building, which can cost time and money.
Yeah, when we were also speaking to a Samsung SmartThings operations director, they also noted that SmartThings is really for residential purposes and not commercial purposes. So what we're really trying to do is trying to scale this product for those commercial buildings like hotels, trying to see how much energy savings you can get for commercial buildings, because they really want to save on energy costs when a person or a visitor is there or not there. So by being really personalized, comparing to the satellite data, the general data that you just see, you can get really personalized insights that can help inform communities and save money.
Can you just say a little bit more about, I think you were talking about putting public parks in certain areas. Can you say more about what the response to that has been as an idea if you're monitoring an area long term?
Right. As we've talked to many of our political leaders at home in Hartford, many of them are already reconstructing the city and keeping up with renovations and new technology in parks. So better guiding these initiatives and seeing where to put these parks has been highly positive, and seeing the added benefit not only as park space for the community, but also the park space is reducing UHI and overall incentives. It's a win-win for the community as they're also finding a place to interact while bringing a greener future to their homes.
And so they're actually saying that they would implement and develop parks based on this kind of data?
Yes, they're saying that they would take this data into consideration when making public spaces such as parks in other areas and add it into consideration as a positive when building these areas.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Space engineering. Great job, guys. That was fantastic. We could really feel the passion in what you were presenting. Thank you. Wonderful. So I would like to welcome next Doral Academy of North Nevada from Reno, Nevada to the stage. Please join me in giving them a warm welcome. Awesome. Good luck, guys. Good job.
Picture this. You go to school every day like any other person. Eat lunch with your friends every day like any other person. And even do your homework after school like any other person. But there's one thing that sets you apart from everybody else. You're missing a part of your arm. So this is fine until you get to music class, and then you realize, how am I supposed to play the violin? But what if I told you that we had the solution to this? My name is Emma Summers, and I'm a 3D modeler working on the 3D aesthetic.
My name is Lily Chikanowski, and I'm a researcher.
And I'm Henry Johnson, another modeler. Our project is a 3D printed prosthetic designed by us, the students of Doral Academy of Northern Nevada.
Prosthetics are custom fit for the amputee, which makes it impossible for them to have the same prosthetic throughout their life. They would need a new one about every year or so. This was a case for a student at our school who was born with an undeveloped arm.
In years prior, a music teacher at Doral was able to find ways for this student to play the same instrument as the class, such as the recorder and ukulele. In 5th grade, this student was very excited to learn a new instrument, but our music teacher was unable to find a way for them to play the violin.
When this teacher reached out to other music teachers to try to help this student, they were told to simply have him play a xylophone. But what these teachers didn't consider was this. If this so-called solution was used, the student would feel singled out, unable to play the actual instrument being taught, and overall feel different and left out from the rest of the class. This limiting solution would also make it so the student wouldn't have the same chances and opportunities as the other students.
And this is where our project comes in. The student used the 3D aesthetic to learn how to play the violin. This student fell in love with the instrument and now plays it in our school's orchestra class.
Not only do prosthetics have an emotional impact on the user, they also help the environment in the process. It does this by preventing mass amounts of air pollution, since making just one traditional prosthetic arm could release up to 50 kilograms of carbon dioxide. Most prosthetics are made from non-biodegradable plastics that pollute the environment, whereas the filament we use, PLA, is completely biodegradable. It can also, the entire prosthetic can be melted down and re-spooled to print an entire new one. It is also much cheaper than a traditional prosthetic.
Prosthetics cost up to $2,000 to $10,000 and can sometimes even get up to $50,000. Meanwhile, the 3D aesthetic at most is $520 and can even get lowered to $20 if a 3D printer is already available. Considering the fact that 1 to 2 million people already have 3D printers, the change can be drastic, from a change of over $10,000 to less than $50.
We created multiple designs and used the engineering design process throughout the whole project. Like when we were designing the violin bow clamp, which are these, which came out with a total of 4 iterations for it. We also created a 3D model we also created a 3D model to help us visualize what this will look like. And a modular design that allows attachments to be switched out at any time. Look how easy it is to swap out the attachments. There you have it.
Prosthetics have been around for centuries, and we have taken another step forward with our project, the 3D Static. The 3D Static is affordable and sustainable and can help amputees all over the nation feel like a part of the community by being able to perform tasks they never could before. Think of how much an impact this would have on their mental health, allowing them to feel accepted within their community. Our goal moving forward is to reach out to more people, to have an impact on more people, and all of this is thanks to the 3D Static.
Thank you for listening and contributing to our step towards the future. Any questions?
I want to start by asking what the most challenging part of this process was for all of you.
So the pins were very hard. It took many prototypes and many designs to get them the exact length for this, just to hold it all together. Before we had all the pins, we were actually using paper clips to hold it together because we couldn't get the pins the right size. So that was our hardest part.
One of my Girl Scouts is missing her right hand. If I wanted to help her do archery, what would be your design process for making that new piece?
Well, for instance, our website that we have on that computer over there would allow us to have examples and instructions, and there's also a ton of tutorials online for our software. We also would have them able to give us design ideas, and so if, for instance, somebody wanted an archery piece, they could help us design a piece that would allow them to use their archery skills.
Adding on to that, we are currently still developing our website, so there are aspects that are not completely done. We have not completed the instructions yet, but we will continue to develop it in the future.
Have you tested the prosthetics already with a...
Yes, there is a student at our school who we initially made this for when our music teacher reached out to us, and he's been using it for the past year, and there's one prosthetic here that is not with us because he's currently using it, but he uses all the different things for many aspects, and he knows how to 3D model, so he actually can make his own for whatever he needs, and he has been using us. He's been giving us feedback throughout the whole thing, which we've used to improve our design over the course of this project.
Thank you.
I think this is such a great example. I think it was mentioned earlier, but mixing empathy with emerging technology, so just great work on that. I am curious, when it comes to the feedback you may have gotten from, or just from your research on like traditional prosthetics, can you speak to that a little bit more, more there?
Yes, so one big feedback we have gotten is how comfortable it is. We are going to make slits so that we can add padding, or if you need to, you can just sand down the rough edges. That's the main feedback we've gotten. And along the lines of traditional prosthetics, they are made more with molds, which we can use scanning. You can use any cellular device to scan your arm and mold it to it. But like I said earlier, rough edges and how soft it is have been our most common feedback.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, let's give one more round of applause for Doral Academy of Northern Nevada. And as they take apart their amazing and quite a variety of different prototypes for the project, just want to give a shout out. Ramin, I think you touched on it, just really the empathy behind this project and really supporting one of their own peers in their school. So really great job by our team here from Nevada. And in just a moment, we're going to welcome to the stage Charter School of Wilmington from Wilmington, Delaware. They are our last team for today, but they are certainly not least. So I think we're just about ready. Let's welcome Wilmington to the stage.
4.5 million. That's the number of healthcare workers we will be short by 2030. In a world where the population is growing drastically, this isn't just a number. It's a child going undiagnosed. It's families waiting and hoping. And it's you in a situation where every second counts. In our state alone, the wait times for physician care has increased by 200% in underserved communities. All the while, physicians are struggling with exhaustion and job satisfaction. Hello, I'm Subi.
I'm Aishwarya.
And I'm Arya. We're honored to be here to address this global issue through a smart bandage, Aquagel, which provides autonomous wound healing support from the comfort of your home.
This works through 3 components: a sensor, a hydrogel, and an application. And you can see the Fusion 360 model that highlights these various elements.
To begin, we have the circuit system, which includes temperature sensors and impedance sensors. Impedance is the measure of an material's opposition to electrical flow. By measuring this in a wound, we can accurately characterize the specific stage the wound is at. Next, the temperature sensors allow us to identify any infections that are occurring in this area. All these components will be constructed on a flexible printed circuit board.
The second component consists of a hydrogel that accelerates the wound healing process by providing hydration, reducing pain, and decreasing scarring. Our hydrogel is made up of sodium alginate and can measure the relative concentration of a compound called uric acid. This acid is seen in high amounts during an infection. Based on these chemical redox reactions, we can determine the concentrations of these uric acid levels in the wound through a color change in the gel from clear to yellow.
Our application helps patients with the recovery process through real-time data from the smart bandage via Bluetooth. There's personalized profiles with treatment recommendations for the user, and currently we're working with simulated data to prototype the logic and create an intuitive experience for the user. Additionally, we plan to implement a scan feature where with just a tap, users can take a picture of the hydrogel and it will colorimetrically analyze the levels of uric acid present in the hydrogel. There's also a chat feature that we plan to implement where patients can communicate with the physician through the app.
The model you see in front of you is our first generation prototype, which only consists of the temperature sensors. However, our second gen prototype will include the impedance sensors and detachable components, and then the last generation will include light therapy systems and controlled antibacterial release mechanisms to actively aid in wound healing.
Our product will have a drastic positive impact on communities. With Medicare spending up to $100 billion yearly on acute and chronic wound care, this creates a drastic financial burden for families, physicians, and the system. To combat this, we have a $25 kit with the sensor and 5 hydrogel sheets that provides an equitable solution for the 6 million people yearly who are dealing with wounds. We also plan to have a biodegradable hydrogel because there's also 16,000 tons of plastic waste yearly just in the US from wound packages. Through this, with our biodegradable hydrogel and sensor, we also plan to implement a bacitracin release, which will be administered by the physician, and this will fight against antibiotic misuse.
To make this a reality, we collaborated with many corporations within our community, like DuPont and our university healthcare hydrogel expert at University of Delaware and our local wound care facility. To help us create our prototype and to collaborate with other stakeholders.
By bridging biotechnology,
chemistry,
and engineering, Aquagel isn't just a bandage.
It's a step towards smarter, more equitable care for every patient everywhere. We provide faster care for those who need it.
Thank you.
Super impactful stuff here. Really, thank you for the presentation. Can you speak a little bit to maybe the first type of patient population that you would want to target with a solution like this? Obviously, there's quite a widespread breadth there, but where your target market is there?
So actually, rural areas tend to have the tend to see the most impact from this physician shortage. So our main target is probably these areas that don't have immediate access to like test their infections, and that their wounds can, by second can become worse and worse and cause like an amputation or can develop into a lifelong problem. So yeah, maybe rural communities in the U.S.
Yeah, in Delaware, where we're from, Sussex County and Kent counties, which are the more rural areas in our state, they tend to see, in the past 20 years, as we mentioned before, wait times have increased by 200%. So they used to be around 8 days, and now people have to wait around 25 days to even get an appointment and get the care they need. And by that time, they won't be able to fully, take care of their wound.
And just on that, just to be really clear, is this meant to replace an interaction with a physician, or is it meant to be part of a follow-up treatment and care?
I can answer that question. So the bandage itself can be used commercially, so we can sell it in stores, but we mainly want to promote through the hospital. For the bacitracin release, that would have to be administered by a hospital or physician. So we would have them recommended to their patient, and also there's a feature we intend to implement where hospitals can look at the data and advise their patients through the chat function.
So if I'm a user, how hard is it for me to change my bandage, and how often would I need to do that?
So the bandage can be changed around 4 days because the hydrogel can, be moist for that long, because we tested that, and also studies have said that. The reason this is much longer compared to normal wound dressings, because the thing about the hydrogel is that it's able to actually absorb any unwanted wastes that your wound might, extrude, sorry. So that's one of the reasons. And another thing is we try to make this very user-friendly. The only thing you would have to do is change the hydrogel, which is basically, the way we see it, is there would be you see like the little hydrogel pads, right? You can buy them, and then you would just have to attach it to your circuit system. That's the only thing you would have to do. And the app would give you real-time advice on how to take care of things to make sure you are taking care of it properly. And again, there's chat systems within the app that allow you to, be in contact with your doctor, so they can also help you with making sure you're taking care of properly.
The app also has a function where it provides recommendations for care. So based off the biometrics, such as the temperature, if it goes out of the range, it can indicate that there's an infection. And also with the impedance, it can indicate if it's higher or out of the range of the normal human skin. It can see if there is a possible risk for infections, or other stages of the wounds can also be tracked with the impedance. So the user is given recommendations such as when to change it, if they need to hydrate more, or if they need to apply any topical treatments. So that will be given through the app with the biometrics we get from the sensors.
And maybe a follow-up on that. I think one of the hardest parts is integrating into a doctor or a hospital's workflow. So if that's more on like the patient side, for that, can you speak to what the provider, what type of data they'd want to see, and how they'd want to see that?
So the sensor, it's cloud-based, so once it's connected to the app via Bluetooth, the hospital will have a different interface. They'll see the numbers and everything, but this will also tell them what each patient is going through. So they'll have it will look a little different than this, but we plan to have a different thing for the doctors to look at and provide recommendations for care.
I mean, also the hospital does have access to their patients' database and all their history, right? So we plan to embed like a part where we can take history into consideration. And then as well, these doctors will again have a different view on it, but they can again interact with their patient and give them suggestions, like real-time suggestions. Oh, maybe you should change this, or there's a warning. It'll warn the hospital and the person at the same time. Maybe change this. And so it's kind of really helpful.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's give a round of applause to the charter school of Bloomington. Great job, ladies. And great job, everyone. What a day it has been. We have just heard 10 incredible presentations from 10 remarkable teams across the country. Today, our national finalists, they've truly shown us just how passionate, empathetic, and inspirational they are and can be using STEM to solve problems in and around their communities to make it better for everyone.
I couldn't have said it better, Sam. I do not envy the weight currently on all of our judges' shoulders as they work to select our national winners. Later tonight at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, we will come back here together at our Samsung offices in the heart of Washington, D.C., as well as on livestream to present some well-deserved awards. And yes, that includes our 3 national winners of the 15th annual Samsung Solve for Tomorrow competition.
And in the meantime, everyone here should be super proud. You guys all did incredible. I can see the anxiety in the room has completely shifted. You guys are now ready to party. So everyone, between the students, the teachers, your local leaders back in your home states that have really been a part of this journey for you, you should all be proud. Thank you for being part of this journey. You've all done incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.